What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mover Mailbag. I'm cwlemoine, mover, author of the Spectre series. Today I've got some questions that I thought would be answered for you, and here we go. All right, the first one comes from Drew. Hey Mover, first off, thanks for the videos. It's refreshing to see someone who holds the same values as myself become popular on YouTube. Second, a little background, then a couple questions. I'm a CFI, double I, flying with every A-10 squadron in the country. Maybe I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, but I know I'd love that CAS mission, helping our soldiers make it home. I'd really like to find a way to be a part-time first responder, help people on the civilian side too. So question one, do you have any advice for a young guy who wants to start doing part-time work with the police department while holding a CFI or other 500-hour-ish job? What training would I need to do? Second, I'm curious about your books. I know that this is easy to search, but which series is the one about military aviation? Hoping to have some free time, start reading more, and your books seem like some that I would enjoy. If either of these questions answered in the video, which are, just yell at me and I'll go look it up when I get a chance. But either way, thanks for the help and keeping the great work. Thanks, Drew. Drew, check out this video. All right, so answering your questions in order. Thanks. Glad that this is going well on YouTube. You know, it's not a huge channel, but I'm glad to help wherever I can. So A-10 is a great airplane. That was the first aircraft squadron that I was hired by. I was originally going to go fly the A-10 until Hurricane Katrina and the base realignment and closure kind of put a damper on that, but I'd love to fly the A-10. I think close air support, CAS, is the greatest mission that we do because you're directly supporting boots on the ground. So I agree with you on that. But if you want to do that on the civilian side, which is very noble, it is very rewarding to be in the community, helping the community for reserve stuff, and that's what you'd be. You'd be reserve deputy or reserve officer. So what you do is you go to your local agency and you inquire about it. They might have a website or whatever. You'll fill out an application, you'll go through the hiring process, and then depending on where you are, some states don't require you to go through the post academy, which is the actual police academy, and some do. A lot of reserve units allow you to go through the Reserve Academy. When I say reserve units, I'm talking police, not military. They allow you to go through a Reserve Academy, which takes a little bit longer. It's like 6 months instead of 3, but it is night times, Tuesdays and Thursdays, every other weekend, every weekend, whatever they have it set up, because you still have to get the same amount of hours. You just, you're doing it after your day job, which is for, and you're doing it for free. So that is an option. That's what I did. I went to the Reserve Division and went through the Academy at night while I was flying F-18s every other weekend, etc., and made that work. And it's very fulfilling. It doesn't pay anything, but it's good to get out and help the community. So I highly recommend that. Second, I'm just curious about your books. So Spectre series is the aviation series. Spectre is a former F-16 pilot. The first couple books are more aviation centric. I kind of get away from that and then I go back to it. Finney Flight being the most recent aviation oriented book, and that's about Spectre and foreign aircraft and going into North Korea. It's a really good adventure book. So any of the Spectre series novels will help you out there. So Drew, good luck with your search. I think having flight time, volunteering, I mean, this all looks really good. Your chances are really good to get in a pilot slot. So I'm hopeful for you. Make them tell you no, and good luck. Second one comes from Scott. Hey CW, I just saw your latest video. Wanted to let you know my son got PRK after 5 years in the Marines because he was going in the Army National Guard since he wants to fly the Black Hawk. After a few months, he has better than 20/20 vision, and the Guard is pushing him towards becoming a warrant officer. Just want to let you know the PRK was a great option in my son's case and could be something for others to look up. Thanks for the great content. Please keep it up. So yeah, you can get PRK, and you can get PRK in the Air Force too. PRK and LASIK are approved. So I didn't know this about the Army, but Scott, thanks for helping us out, and thanks for that information. This comes from a pilot. Actually, it's Marcus. Hi CW Lemoine, just wondering if you could please make a video about helicopter pilot versus fighter pilot. Tell people choose the right career. Please help me. Best regards, Marcus. There is no, if you want to fly helicopters, Army's the best way to do it. If you don't know, the Air Force and Navy both have either option. So I would just, personally, I would go to an Air Force, board, apply through that way, active duty, and then if you want to fly helicopters, if they've got rotary wing slots, you can do that. Or in the Navy, it's the same thing. So as far as which is better, I don't know. I never did any helicopter stuff other than the video that I did recently with the Sheriff's Office. But I can tell you on the backside of your career, when you're looking at airlines and stuff, you'll have a much easier time getting an airline job as a fighter pilot than you will as a helicopter pilot. It's doable. They are currently, regional airlines are helping people get that fixed wing time, but it's much harder. On the flip side, if you want to do law enforcement aviation, helicopter's the way to go, because after your career, you have many more options to do law enforcement aviation than you would as a fighter pilot. So it just depends on what you want to do. There's no real easy answer for that. The next one comes from Jesse. Jess, CW Lemoine. I'm currently enrolled in high school and interested in becoming a pilot in the Navy, flying either the Super Hornet or the Lightning II. While I was researching how to increase my odds of getting a fighter slot, I came across a website which claims to have a system capable of helping people become fighter pilots. To me, it seems quite credible and useful, but I figured an opinion by someone who knows much more in the area would be much better than mine. I greatly appreciate it if you could reply to my email with your opinion on this system, whether it be a good purchase or not. Here's the link to the website, becomeafighterpilot.com/landing. Thank you, Jesse. I looked at the website. I don't see anything immediately that stands out or anything. My issue is you should not have to... There are no guarantees, so any website that says we'll guarantee you a fighter slot is wrong. There's no guarantees in this business. There's no way to guarantee anything. They might be able to help you make the most, your application as good as it's going to be, and they might help you get your stuff in order and help you with interview questions and help you prepare, but there are no guarantees, and anyone that tells you that is leading you astray. Personally, I don't believe in having to pay for that. I think the information is out there. I think you can do your own research, and I think you can find out how to make yourself competitive without spending any money. With that said, if you absolutely want to, there are services like bogeydope.com which again, they don't sponsor me or anything, but they do have a good bit of recent information, and I know that they are credible, and I know that they have application prep, interview prep, and all that stuff. So that is a good avenue to do that, and there's also some consulting firms on the airline side that people use. I never used any of it. I don't think I needed any of it, and it worked out for me. But that said, if you absolutely have to, just make sure you do your homework. I don't know anything about this specific website. I'm not going to comment on it other than to say, do your homework. All the information you need is right at your fingertips. You don't need somebody to do it for you. You can do this on your own. But if you want to, go ahead. I just remember there's no guarantees. Anybody that tells you there's a guarantee is lying to you. Comes from Rick. G'day, mover. Greetings from Melbourne, Australia. Mate. Were you passionate about aviation as a child, or you aspire to be something else, like let's say a fireman or police officer? Cheers, my friend, and safe flying, Rick. Yeah, I wanted to be everything. I mean, I wanted to be an airline pilot, which, in hindsight, that's not, it actually happened. So I wanted to be a fighter pilot later on. I didn't want to be a fighter pilot as a kid. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster, and I still do. So if any Ghostbusters are hiring, I will do that. I wanted to be a Secret Service agent at one point. I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be everything, and I've kind of tried to do that by doing the law enforcement thing on the side, writing books. I've tried to as much as I can, but yeah, I wanted to be everything, race car driver, any of that stuff. So yeah, absolutely, and I encourage that. Have a lot of passions, have a lot of enthusiasm, and one thing will work out, even if it's not the thing you think. Because the people that get the most disappointed are the ones that are like, it's one way or nothing. There's no flexibility. I have to do it this way or else my life's over. Well, no, not really. There's a lot of options you got out there, but make them tell you no, and you'll accomplish your dreams. Thanks, Rick. The last one is from Robert. Good day. Absolutely love the material you're putting out there. I would love to hear you give a shout out to other YouTubers that revolve around military aviation. Questions. I missed the live Q&A you had for your 50,000 subscribers recording. I'm sure a lot of great questions were answered there. 2, what are some pros and cons with going to NJEP as opposed to normal pipeline? 3, what are some of your duties and responsibilities as a pilot when you're not flying? P.S. Love the BCS videos, Robert. All right, to answer your first question, well, your first statement, Hornet Vids. GB, who was on the previous video with the F5 and us doing tack turns and stuff, has a lot of good Hornet stuff, and I recommend going to his channel and subscribing. As far as the live Q&A, yeah, it should be in the video. I don't, if you go to my community and the channels and the videos and all that stuff, that should be there. But if not, I'll put a link in the description. Question 2, pros and cons with going to NJEP as opposed to the normal pipeline. Yeah, it used to be NJEP was a guaranteed fighter slot because you were going T6 or T37 to T38, and that made you a fighter track. My good friend, who's now a U2 pilot, can attest that's not always the case, and it becomes the needs of the Air Force. So So that advantage is gone. I don't know that that's really a great thing anymore. NJEP's just another pilot training. You'll be flying with more foreign students, and that's pretty much the only difference now. I don't think there's really anything special about it, especially with the way the Air Force works. And you may get a fighter, you may not. So I don't think there's pros or cons. It's just another EPT base now. What are some of your duties and responsibilities as a pilot when you're not flying? In both the Air Force and Navy, you'll probably have a ground job, and what your ground job is kind of depends on where you are in your career. Like in the Navy, maintenance is in the squadron, so you can be a maintenance officer at the JO, junior officer level, so kind of a line level for maintenance, or you can be even the maintenance department head if you're an 04, lieutenant commander type. You can have scheduling jobs, so you're helping to write the daily flying schedule and coordinating airspace, coordinating working with other units, etc. for training. You can be the training officer, so helping keep track of qualifications, who's expiring, how to make sure that they're complying with their upgrade syllabus, etc. You can be in, for the Air Force, STAN-EVAL, so standards and evaluations, so making sure check rides are on time, doing all that paperwork and stuff. And on the Navy side, it'd be NATOPS. You can have a safety job, so your job is to write safety reports when something happens. Your job is to make sure that the operation is being conducted as safely as possible and recommend stuff to the skipper if you're on the Navy side, or the squadron commander, etc., to make sure there's safe operation. You'll go to safety school and learn how to investigate accidents and stuff like that. You can be in weapons, DOW, which is basically working for the weapons officer, or you could be the weapons officer, developing the stuff for tactics for the squadron, making sure that everybody's up to date on the latest stuff for the aircraft, the software, the weapon systems, the tactics, techniques and stuff coming from the weapons school, and making products for exercises and stuff like that. There's also additional duties, like you could be in charge of the PT test, you could be in charge of you can be the SNACO on the Air Force side, so you're in charge of collecting the dues, which are usually pretty cheap, to make sure there's fresh popcorn in the squadron bar and make sure it's stocked, and make sure that any parties or anything, you're the one that's going to coordinate all that, and shirts and coins and all that stuff. And it just depends, but yeah, you'll have additional duties, and what additional duty you have just depends on how much extra time you have. If you're younger guys, will go to weapons first typically, so they can study, and then after you get a little bit more experience, you'll go to like scheduling or something like that, and that's Air Force specific on that question. So yes, you'll have additional duties, and you're expected to fly and stay current and do them. It's just part of the job. So anyway, I hope that answers the questions. If you got any questions for the Mover Mailbag, cwlemoine, cwlemoine.com. You can reach me facebook.com/cwlemoine. Instagram's okay. It's not really good because half the stuff ends up in a filtered thing that I never check. But that's an option too. You can follow me on Instagram if you'd like. And also, if you want to mail me something physically, P.O. Box 8594, Mandeville, Louisiana 70470. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Mover Mailbag. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Excuse me. Oh, no. Oh! Been a lot of that. Fire with the doors off. All box two. Don't be a douche. That's rule number one. Make them tell you no.